Hey guys, this is Tim Lloyd coming to you from Check Point. I want to thank you for stopping by and checking out another one of my videos. Today I'd like to talk to you about our Harmony SASE platform. It's one of the products in our portfolio that is gaining really strong momentum over the past couple years. I've seen customer adoption skyrocket because securing the user connecting back into the corporate environment is extremely important, and the architecture has changed many times over the years. Well, let me switch to sharing my screen. Real quick, just once again, Tim Lloyd coming to you from Chicagoland. Been with Checkpoint for 4.5 years or so. There's my email. Please feel free to reach out and send me an email. Also, there's a QR code there so that you can quickly and easily get to my YouTube channel where you'll find other videos that will help you on your checkpoint journey. So again, thank you for joining me. What I'd like to do now is spend just a few moments with you talking about our Harmony SASE platform, and what I'd like to do is just spend maybe a few minutes on 3 or 4 slides talking about the platform, and then we'll do a short demo. I think that understanding today's SASE architecture, it's helpful to first go back in time and remember how things used to be. And that's what you have here, right? Back in the day, 10 years ago or more, the network was very simple. Everybody went to the office. You remember that? The office days, right? The office had its own security, it had its own gateway, its own internet connection. Internet traffic was sent directly to the internet. And if a user had a need for a corporate resource, that would get backhauled to a VPN appliance that was on premise, and that would give you access to corporate data centers and cloud resources. And this worked, right? This was a happy architecture. Users were happy, performance was decent, security professionals happy because environment is secure. However, this life is not static and things change, and this is where we have this problem enter into the picture, this proliferation of a remote user workforce, which was sped up significantly by the pandemic, and companies were forced into this architecture overnight. The problem here is that remote user traffic is now getting backhauled to the data center, to this poor appliance, which is the bottleneck. It's getting choked, right? Creates a poor user experience, and it weakens security, right? Now your users are, they're no longer at the castle, the really well protected office where perimeter security was everything, right? Now they're out here in the wild. They're at home, they're at Starbucks, they're on a plane, they're on a train, they're everywhere. And they're connecting to networks that you don't own, that you don't secure. And all of that traffic is then getting backhauled to this VPN gateway, whether it's internet traffic or corporate resource traffic, right? And the problem here is a poor experience. So now you've got weakened security, and you have poor performance. It's weaker because these guys are connecting to non-standard networks. And how are you managing that network traffic? How are you securing that internet traffic when users are no longer inside the office? So that's the problem that arose, that got sped up out of the pandemic, and that problem, the significant event of the changing architecture, is what today's SASE architecture is built on, right? So what we've done is we've shifted security services to this cloud fabric. This is the typical SASE architecture that you see in the market today. It does solve that backhauling issue, because now you're not backhauling to a single security gateway that's on-prem. It's going to the nearest cloud data center. So it is a significant improvement to what we had. And many companies out there are putting out a solution just like this. So Zscaler, Prisma SASE, Cato Networks, Netscope, Fortinet, right? So there are a lot out there today. The question is, can we do this in a better architecture? And that's why we want to talk today about Harmony SASE, because the answer to that question is yes, we can absolutely do this in a better way. And with Harmony SASE, we introduce what we call the hybrid mesh architecture. This architecture solves all of these issues by combining on-device and cloud-based SASE, content protection, right? So this is the linchpin, the key differentiator for our solution. What we're doing is we're taking Check Point's security platform, which we call our Check Point Blades. That's just the nomenclature that we use to talk about our software. They're blade applications. Those blades security blades are ported to a very lightweight application that is installed on the device. So whenever you have internet traffic, it is secured by those blades on that lightweight app, and then it's sent directly to the web. So this is a vast improvement over today's architecture. This is our key differentiator. So the only thing that gets backhauled to a cloud POP is the traffic that has the need for corporate resources. Now, at Check Point, we like to talk about our hybrid mesh architecture that is, that has our Harmony SASE platform really at the heart of it. When we say hybrid mesh, we're talking about splitting that traffic out, but we're also talking about a full mesh network. And for us, that means really any device connecting to any device anywhere. So that's what Harmony SASE hybrid mesh is really about. It's a full mesh network which allows remote users, branch offices, and cloud resources to connect to each other directly and securely and over redundant paths. So just a significant upgrade in the architecture design. And all of this happens over a centralized, unified fabric where we manage security and provide visibility through our Infinity portal. So let me jump into the demo portion of this now. This is our Infinity portal. I can click the navigation menu, and you can see that I have all of these. This is the entire Check Point portfolio. I can manage any Check Point security platform, any portion of it from the Infinity portal, whether that's on-prem firewall, CloudGuard, the Harmony family, or our Infinity AI family. And of course, we're doing Harmony SASE. So if I click on that, it's going to drill into the Harmony SASE platform, and it's going to take me into this dashboard. What I'd like to do, you can see there isn't really anything going on here because it's my lab environment, very small, just me as the user. If you were a large enterprise, like many of my customers, this dashboard would be very active with all sorts of telemetry being reported. But what I'd like to do is just kind of go through some of the main portions of this navigation menu And we can start with team. Obviously, this section is for managing your users and their roles within your organization, so you can add and remove team members, you can assign roles, you can configure permissions for access to different features. Essentially, it's your user directory and role-based access control area. And you can also integrate your identity provider into it, which obviously is very important for those with large environments. And I can show you how that's done by coming down the settings, opening that up. And if I click on identity providers, here we go. I haven't done that, but if you click on add a provider, you would choose the identity provider of your choice that you guys are using, and you can go through this configuration wizard and have your users added into the Harmony SASE platform through the identity provider, which most people will do. Coming back to Teams, you can see that again there's only a couple users here that I have in my environment, what really helps is you can pair this with devices. With devices, you're going to be able to associate each user with each device, and you can see that here. I've got the user, I've got the device, here's the device name, and these are just the devices that I've connected to into my lab through my SASE platform and configuration, and we'll walk through how to configure that in a second. But devices lists all the endpoints and network devices connected to your SASE environment, so you can view device status, you can apply security policies, push updates, you can monitor compliance. One of the things that I think is really important is posture check. I don't have that configured, but this is important. It validates device health. It confirms that a connected endpoint has the required security controls installed and working and operating on the endpoint. You can check OS and patch level. You can verify client status. So many things that you can do here to ensure that the devices that do connect to your SASE environment and back into the corporation are secured, managed devices. So if I want to do that, I can just simply click Add Profile. I would have to assign a group, or members. So I'm going to just assign the 2 members that I have. Click Save. We'd have to give this a name, Tim's profile, and then we would have to choose when to run the posture check. You can do that prior to connecting and a polling every 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes, or just only when an endpoint connects. And then you can add your rules to your posture check. So if I wanted to do an OS check, manage the devices running Windows as an OS, I can define some rules here. So I can ensure that every Windows device connecting to my SASE network has endpoint security, specifically Check Point Harmony endpoint. And then I would apply this, right? So anytime a Windows machine connects to my network, if it doesn't have Harmony endpoint installed, it's going to fail the connection. So just a great zero trust feature. Let's move down to networks. Networks this is where you build. You can see that I have a network built. I wouldn't be able to make a Harmony SASE connection without a network, so this is really fundamental to the platform. To create a network, just click on the Create Network button, and this is where you could choose, give it a name, but this is where you want to choose your POP, right? You want to choose the nearest POP to where the lower users are located at. Why don't I come back to my slide deck for just a second? We have over 70 POPs, so 77 global POPs in 44 locations across the globe. I'm in Chicago. We have 2 POPs here in Chicago, Chicago 1 and Chicago 2. I have Chicago 1 configured, so Chicago 2 should be available. There it is. right? So we would just fill this out to create a network. I can drill into the network that I do have. It's just a single tunnel. So you can see here's the Chicago 1 pop. So if I were to connect to my SASE platform, my traffic would get routed to Chicago 1. Chicago 1 is a container, a gate, which we call a gateway, running. That is, here's my public IP address, 64226.137.135, and I'm through this gateway, I'm creating an IPsec tunnel back to my lab. So this is a checkpoint gateway running in front of my lab, and so this is how I establish that any-to-any full mesh connectivity. And of course, we could have redundant tunnels here. We could do HA IPsec tunnels via BBG. So lots of options here. There are options to configure your tunnel. You can create route tables. There's some edit network, some configuration components you can change under edit network. I won't drill into any of these here. Let's look at split tunneling. So this is where you would split your tunnel. So again, let's go back to our slides. So if you want to split out the network traffic from the device and send it directly to the internet so that it's secured on the device, this is where you would configure that in your network. So you're going to say do not tunnel internet traffic via cloud, which means that internet traffic will not come back to this cloud POP. It's going to go directly out to the internet to its destination. I do want to cover a couple of other things. Private access in Check Point Harmony SASE. This is the component that provides that zero trust network access to internal applications and resources. And so how do we do that, right? So there is a firewall here. So this is firewall as a service. So it doesn't matter where the users are coming from, they're going to hit this firewall where I have the opportunity to secure traffic. Doesn't matter where in the globe they are, doesn't matter what Starbucks they're at, what plane they're on, what train they're on, this firewall is going to secure that traffic. Again, I've got nothing going on in my environment, so there's just one rule accepting everything. Obviously, you wouldn't do that in an enterprise, but you would create a security policy that would meet your security requirements. I don't do that here because I know that I'm the only one on this network, and I already have a checkpoint gateway in front of my lab securing the traffic. Another option is to create zero trust applications. So this is how we would create an application to access corporate resources without requiring a client. So this is clientless application access. For example, I could create an RDP application to connect to my Windows 2022 server. So I could say ww2k22 server over RDP. So it's going to be native RDP. I'm going to put in my internal IP address, 3389 is the correct port. I've got to choose my Harmony SASE network, the correct network. I've only got one, which you just saw a second ago, and I select it. And then I've got to assign it to users or a group. Here are my all users group. I save it and I apply it, and that is going to give anybody who is a member of this group the ability to come in and RDP into my Windows 2022 server without having to have any type of software or client loaded on my endpoint. So this is how we're providing zero trust access to applications, and we can further, I'm going to cancel that, we don't need to build that. We could further improve our security posture by adding these application policies. I could define, specific groups only. I could define a date and time range that users can come into my application. I could force particular IPs, so you get the idea. There's a lot of different things I can do here to create better security for my applications. The last thing that I wanted to touch base with you on is internet access. So kind of coming back to this piece, right? How do I manage the security on the device for traffic that is sent directly to the internet? Well, that is done right here under internet access, and we manage that through this access policy. So again, this is going to be running our Blade security on a lightweight app on the endpoint where all the security is performed by our blades, and this is the access policy that's going to govern the traffic, right? And so it's just a typical rule-based dashboard. You've got a name, a source, a destination. You can set some conditions, and then your action, drop or accept. And most of the time you're going to want to log the action, right? So this is how you would manage that. You can also create some bypass rules for the situation where you need to override one of the access policy rules that you have in place because something is legit and it should happen. So that is the internet access piece. That is really the main part that the main components that I wanted to share with you guys today. So that's it for me. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. Again, here is my QR code if you'd like to hit my YouTube channel. Always appreciate the comments, the likes, the questions. There's my email one last time for you again. Do thank you for taking the time to spend with me on Harmony SASE, covering Harmony SASE. Hopefully you found it useful, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you very much.